Next question is also for you. We have volunteer historian veterans organizations, local governments, and funeral professionals working diligently to sort through the archives of death records, military records, genealogical records to seek VA headstones for some of our Civil War veterans who are buried in unmarked graves. We have been told that the VA has in recent years put into place a new barrier for this initiative requiring approval from the next of kin. These local volunteers are essentially skilled researchers. If they could identify and locate a Civil War descendant, they would jump at the chance. The reality is that many of these veterans in unmarked graves tend to be poor young minorities with few, if any, family at the time they paid the ultimate price. When we make it absolute necessary to get the next of kin approval, we are turning a success story into another reason for our citizens to be disappointed with government bureaucracy. On behalf of one of my constituents, Mr. Richard Barefoot of Medford, New Jersey, he has been in contact with the NCA pursuing 2 group monuments for veterans who died in the 1935 Labor Day hurricane to be honored with one of the overseas highway near, how do you say that? Isla Morada, Florida, one of the Woodlawn Park North Cemetery in Miami. He is a historian who is seeking to have these monuments dedicated before the 80th anniversary, but he is not next of kin to any of the descendants, so his request has not been granted. One of the recent letters sent to a group in Ohio to the VA asked the VA to consider a couple of alternatives, and we are told that the VA response did not even acknowledge that the 2 thoughtful remedies had been suggested. The 2 possibilities include to amend section 38.632B1 to conclude that no next of kin exists or can be located. Applications may be filed by military researchers, local historians, genealogical or other who are familiar with the research services or methods need to approve the veteran's identity and service. Or the next solution, align the VA policy with the archives records policy at the National Archives Records Administration for requesting military records, which does not require next of kin authorization for records dating back 62 or more years. Such policy could be stated as applications for headstones or markers for eligible individuals have been deceased 62 or more years prior to the date of application may be submitted by anyone familiar with the research services and methods needed to prove a veteran's identity and their service. I think, though wordy, some of these seem reasonable to consider. I would like to know if the VA has considered these alternatives and how you would respond to this group that seems more than willing to work with the VA to find a remedy to this, or to Mr. Barefoot, who is seeking the 2 group memorials.
Yes, Chairman, we are actually looking at that reg, and we're going to do some rewrites to it. It was a few years ago. It was redone for many reasons, and it appears that they made it over restrictive. There were some issues where individuals would come in and change information, then next of kin would show up and say who changed the stone. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen, but we also want to make sure that it's not as restrictive it is. So we are looking at that, and we are working to change that so that it's more user-friendly, especially with the VSOs that normally order headstones for many of their members. So we will be looking at that, and when we get ready, we'll put it out for public comment. We'll keep the committee in the loop on that to let you know when we get ready to do that. So we
appreciate that cooperation and communication. So yeah, with that, I'll yield to the